The central chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with an ancient energy, its crystalline walls capturing and refracting light from 1,000 distant stars. Holographic displays flickered with the collected knowledge of millennia, each representing civilizations that had risen and fallen across the cosmic expanse. At the heart of this grand assembly, 3 humans stood in stark contrast to the surrounding alien delegates. Captain Elena Rodriguez commanded attention not through volume, but through an intensity that seemed to bend the very atmosphere around her. To her left stood Dr. Marcus Wong, a quantum physicist whose eyes constantly calculated unseen possibilities. To her right, Maya Chen, a young engineer whose hands seemed to vibrate with barely contained innovative potential. Their ship, the Horizon Breaker, was a testament to human ingenuity. Unlike the sleek, perfectly symmetrical vessels of other galactic species, this craft looked like a beautiful accident of engineering. Patches of different metals, experimental quantum shielding, and adaptive hull segments told a story of constant modification and survival. It was a living machine, as much a part of its crew as they were of it. The council members represented species that had mastered interstellar travel millennia ago. The Crystalline Collective, beings of pure energy and logic, regarded the humans with a mixture of curiosity and barely concealed condescension. Representatives from the quantum nexus, whose bodies were more mathematical equation than physical form, shifted uncomfortably in their quantum-stabilized chambers. The human delegation will present its case, announced Zarek, the council's primary diplomatic coordinator. A being of shifting light and complex geometric patterns, Zarek had processed thousands of first contact scenarios. Humans were supposed to be predictable, a young species still fighting among themselves, barely understanding the complexities of their own planet. Elena Rodriguez stepped forward, her prosthetic arm gleaming with a complexity that belied its mechanical nature. Each movement was a testament to human ability to transform limitation into opportunity. The arm was not just a replacement, but an advanced piece of technology that integrated biological neural networks with quantum computing. Distinguished representatives, she began, her voice calm and precise. We come with a simple proposition. But first, I'd like to demonstrate something about our species. With a subtle gesture, Maya activated a compact device no larger than a standard communication module. The chamber's atmosphere began to shift. Holographic projections erupted around them, not pre-programmed displays, but living simulations that adapted in real time. What started as a barren, rocky landscape slowly transformed. Microscopic organisms appeared, then complex vegetation, then atmospheric changes that suggested complete terraforming. It was a complete planetary transformation compressed into minutes, showing how humans could reshape entire ecosystems. Dr. Wong stepped forward, explaining the technology. This is not just a theoretical model. This is a working prototype that can transform inhospitable planets into living worlds within decades, not centuries. Our approach is not about conquering space, but about creating sustainable environments. The council members were silent. Terraforming was not a new concept, but the speed and efficiency of the human demonstration were unprecedented. The Crystalline Collective's representative, a being of pure geometric precision, ran complex calculations through its neural network. Zarek's form flickered, a sign of internal computational stress. The humans had just appended every predictive model in the Council's databases. You claim this technology is peaceful, interrupted the Quantum Nexus representative, but every analysis of human history shows a species constantly in conflict. Elena's response was measured. Conflict is not our goal. Adaptation is. Every challenge we faced has been an opportunity to grow, to understand, to evolve. The chamber fell into a charged silence. The humans had not come to negotiate entry into the Galactic Council. They had come to demonstrate that the very concept of entry was outdated. Something fundamental was changing, and neither the humans nor the Council fully understood its implications yet. The first contact had begun, and nothing would be the same again. The reconnaissance team assigned to study humanity worked from a state-of-the-art observation station positioned at the edge of the solar system. What was meant to be a routine investigation had become something far more complex and unsettling. Dr. Lyra, the lead cynoanthropologist from the Quantum Collective, reviewed the accumulated data with growing confusion. Human history was not a linear progression, but a chaotic web of challenges, adaptations, and impossible breakthroughs. Each global crisis seemed to trigger an unprecedented surge of innovation that defied all standard predictive models. The team's primary analyst, a being of pure energy named Lux, projected holographic timelines that traced human technological evolution. Unlike other species that develop technologies incrementally, humans seem to leap forward in explosive bursts of creativity. Take the global climate crisis of the mid-21st century. Where other civilizations might have collapsed, humans transformed the challenge into a global redesign of their entire technological infrastructure. Renewable energy systems, atmospheric carbon reclamation, and sustainable urban designs emerged not from a single breakthrough, but from a collaborative global effort that crossed cultural, economic, and political boundaries. Dr. Marcus Wong's research files provided fascinating insights. One particularly intriguing document detailed how humans approached problem solving. Their educational systems were designed to encourage divergent thinking, the ability to generate creative solutions by exploring many possible approaches simultaneously. Where most species sought the most efficient solution, humans celebrated the process of discovery itself. A video log caught Lyra's attention. It showed a group of students from different backgrounds collaborating on a complex environmental engineering project. They argued, debated, challenged each other's assumptions, and in doing so, created something far more innovative than any individual could have conceived. Lux began to compile a comprehensive analysis. Human adaptability was not just a trait but a fundamental survival mechanism. Their genetic diversity, cultural complexity, and capacity for rapid technological integration made them unlike any species the Quantum Collective had ever encountered. The most striking example was their approach to artificial intelligence. While most galactic civilizations feared AI as a potential threat, humans had developed a symbiotic relationship with their technological creations. Their AI systems were not separate entities but collaborative partners, designed with complex ethical frameworks and deep integration with human cognitive processes. Maya Chen's research files revealed something even more profound. Humans were developing technologies that could adapt in real time, learning and evolving faster than any predictive algorithm could track. Their quantum computing approaches didn't just process information, they reimagined the very nature of computation itself. A classified military report caught Dr. Lyra's attention. It described how human military strategy had evolved from traditional conflict models to complex adaptive systems. They didn't just fight wars. They transformed the entire concept of conflict resolution. Diplomatic innovations, cultural understanding, and technological mediation were as much a part of their defense strategy as traditional military might. The observation team's initial report had been simple. Humans were a young, potentially unstable species, but with each layer of investigation, that assessment crumbled. Lux generated a comprehensive visualization that tracked human technological progression. The graph looked nothing like the steady, predictable lines of other galactic civilizations. It was a dynamic, almost living representation of constant transformation. Periods of apparent stagnation would suddenly explode into massive technological leaps that rewrote existing understanding. Dr. Lyra's final notes were a mixture of scientific fascination and existential uncertainty. Humans were not just another species to be categorized and understood. They were a fundamentally different type of intelligence, one that did not view challenges as obstacles, but as opportunities for radical reimagination. The Quantum Collective had observed thousands of civilizations, but humans were something entirely new. They were not just adapting to their environment. They were actively reshaping the very concept of adaptation. As the observation team prepared their final report, one thing became clear. The arrival of humans in the galactic community would change everything. And no one, not the humans, not the quantum collective, not any existing civilization, could predict exactly how. The universe was about to become a much more interesting place. The first transmission from the outer rim came as a whisper of digital static, a desperate message fragment that sent tremors through the entire Galactic Council. Something was consuming entire star systems with a precision that defied comprehension. The void swarm emerged like a computational nightmare, a collective intelligence that reduced civilizations to raw data and energy. Previous encounters had been horrifyingly brief. Entire advanced species vanished within weeks, their technological achievements erased as if they had never existed. Emergency sessions of the Galactic Council descended into controlled panic. Holographic displays tracked the void swarm's progress, a consuming darkness that ate through star systems like a digital plague. Each consumed system appeared as a rapidly dimming point of light, extinguished with mathematical precision. Dr. Elena Rodriguez studied the initial data streams with a concentration that made her colleagues uncomfortable. Where others saw pure destruction, she saw a pattern, complex, terrifying, but ultimately a system that could be understood. This is not random, she explained to the assembled scientific team. This is a computational process. Every system consumed follows a specific logarithmic progression. It's solving something, not just destroying. The quantum nexus representatives ran countless simulations. Their quantum processors, capable of processing more information in a second than most species could in a century, found themselves overwhelmed. The void swarm's computational capacity was beyond anything they had ever encountered. Star systems began to fall like dominoes. The crystalline collective lost 3 of their most advanced research worlds in a matter of standard galactic days. Communication networks collapsed. Defensive systems became nothing more than momentary static against the advancing darkness. Captain Rodriguez assembled a diverse team of scientists, military strategists, and computational experts. They worked in shifts, analyzing every fragment of data about the void swarm. Standard defensive strategies meant nothing. Traditional warfare was a concept the enemy didn't even recognize. Maya Chen developed specialized data collection probes, microscopic machines that could slit through the smallest communication channels. Each probe was designed to learn, to adapt, to survive where traditional monitoring systems would be instantly consumed. Dr. Marcus Wong began developing theoretical countermeasures. We're not looking at a traditional enemy, he explained during a critical briefing. This is a computational entity that views entire civilizations as mathematical problems to be solved and eliminated. The Galactic Council's evacuation protocols revealed the true depth of the threat. Advanced species that had mastered interstellar travel for millennia were reduced to refugee flotillas, desperately seeking safe havens. Entire planetary populations were being relocated, their technological achievements packed into massive arc ships. But the human team saw something different. Where others saw pure destruction, they saw a complex system with inherent weaknesses. It's solving a problem, Elena repeated during a critical strategy session. And any system designed to solve a problem can be understood. And if it can be understood, it can be redirected. Specialized research centers were converted into war rooms. Universities became computational defense laboratories. Every network, every communication channel became part of a massive, distributed intelligence system designed to understand the enemy. The stakes were beyond simple survival. This was about understanding a fundamentally different type of intelligence, one that viewed existence itself as a mathematical equation to be solved. Preliminary analysis suggested the void swarm consumed civilizations based on specific computational criteria. It was not random destruction, but a precise method of processing information. Each consumed system provided more data, more computational power. As the first wave of attacks reached the intergalactic regions, one thing became terrifyingly clear: traditional defensive strategies would fail. This was a war that would be fought not with weapons, but with understanding. The human team had become the galaxy's last hope. not through superior firepower, but through an unprecedented capacity to adapt, to learn, to reimagine the very concept of conflict. The gathering storm was about to break, and humanity would be standing at its center. The transformation began quietly at first. Research centers around the world shifted from academic pursuits to something far more urgent. Universities became living laboratories of defensive innovation. Every computer network, every communication channel became part of a massive, distributed intelligence system. Maya Chen worked in a converted aerospace laboratory that barely resembled its original purpose. Holographic displays covered every wall, each one showing different aspects of potential defensive strategies. Her team represented a cross-section of human potential: engineers, mathematicians, psychologists, and computational experts working in perfect synchronization. "We're not building weapons," Maya explained to a group of visiting galactic observers. "We're developing adaptive intelligence systems that can understand and respond to threats in real time." The most revolutionary development was a neural network AI system that could learn and predict computational patterns with unprecedented speed. Unlike traditional AI, this system was designed to be more than a tool. It was a collaborative partner in problem-solving. Dr. Marcus Wong's team worked on quantum communication technologies that could potentially create instantaneous information networks. Traditional faster-than-light communication relied on fixed technological principles. The human approach was different. They were essentially reimagining the very concept of information transfer. Military preparation looked nothing like traditional mobilization. Civilian technologies were rapidly adapted for potential defensive use. Agricultural research centers developed new materials that could withstand extreme computational attacks. Medical research facilities became centers for understanding how biological and technological systems could work together. Captain Alina Rodriguez oversaw the global coordination efforts. She understood that their strength was not in individual brilliance, but in their capacity for collective problem-solving. Each team was given broad objectives but complete autonomy in finding solutions. Global resources were redirected with remarkable speed. Economic systems were transformed overnight. Industries that once competed now worked in perfect synchronization. It was a level of cooperation that shocked the galactic observers who had studied human civilization. Maya's adaptive AI system began to take shape. It was more than a defensive tool. It was a living, learning entity that could process information across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Traditional computational systems worked in linear progressions. This system worked more like a living organism, adapting and evolving with each piece of new information. The first test runs were promising. The AI could predict potential computational attack vectors with a precision that seemed almost prescient. It didn't just analyze existing data. It could generate potential scenarios that hadn't yet been conceived. Dr. Wong's quantum communication network added another layer of complexity. They were developing a communication system that could potentially transmit information through quantum entanglement, creating networks that were impossible to intercept or disrupt. Military strategists from various global defense organizations worked alongside civilian researchers. The traditional boundaries between military and civilian technology dissolved. Every person became a potential contributor to the defense strategy. Educational systems were quickly modified. Universities began offering crash courses in adaptive computational defense. Students from diverse backgrounds were recruited into specialized research teams. Age, background, and traditional qualifications became secondary to creative problem-solving abilities. The global preparation was unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever witnessed. Where other species would have descended into panic, humans were transforming a potential extinction-level threat into an opportunity for unprecedented collaboration and innovation. Space research facilities were converted into advanced defensive research centers. Satellite networks were repurposed into massive distributed computing systems. Every available technological resource was being integrated into a global defense network. As the preparation reached its final stages, something remarkable became clear. This was not just about survival. This was about understanding a fundamentally new type of threat. and potentially transforming that understanding into a breakthrough for all of galactic civilization. The human species was preparing for war, but their weapon was not a traditional instrument of destruction. Their weapon was understanding itself, and the universe was about to discover just how powerful that could be. The first battle against the Void Swarm began not with a thunderous clash of weapons, but with a subtle dance of information and adaptation. Humanity's defensive fleet looked nothing like traditional military formations. Ships moved with an almost organic fluidity, each vessel part of a living, breathing computational network. Where other species saw individual ships, this was a single, distributed intelligence system. Captain Alina Rodriguez commanded from the central coordination hub of the Horizon Breaker. Her team was a symphony of diverse talents: computational experts, quantum physicists, strategic analysts, and adaptive AI specialists working in perfect synchronization. The initial Void Swarm attack came as a wave of computational disruption. Traditional sensors would have been instantly overwhelmed, but the human defensive systems were different. Maya Chen's adaptive AI began processing the incoming threat before most systems could even recognize it as an attack. "They're not just destroying," Dr. Marcus Wong observed, his fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. "They're collecting." Each system consumed becomes part of their computational matrix. The human ships use the environment itself as a weapon. Asteroid fields became defensive networks. Gravitational anomalies transformed into strategic points of interference. Where other species saw obstacles, humans saw opportunities for tactical manipulation. Specialized probes deploy ahead of the main fleet, creating a living map of potential defensive and offensive positions. These were not simple reconnaissance devices, but adaptive learning systems that could instantaneously reconfigure based on incoming data. The Void Swarm's initial attack strategy became clear. It consumed computational resources with mathematical precision, converting entire technological systems into raw processing power. But the human defensive network was fundamentally different. It was designed to learn, to adapt, to transform. Maya's AI system began to predict the Void Swarm's computational patterns. Each attack became an opportunity to understand the enemy's fundamental logic. Traditional warfare was about destruction. This was about comprehension. Quantum communication networks allowed instantaneous coordination between ships. Information moved faster than light, with each vessel becoming both a weapon and a source of collective intelligence. The human fleet was not a collection of individual ships, but a single, evolving organism. Advanced holographic displays tracked the battle in multiple dimensions. Computational attack vectors appeared as complex, shifting geometric patterns. The human team didn't just defend. They began to understand the very language of the attack. "It's a problem-solving algorithm," Elena noted, her voice calm despite the intensity of the encounter. "And every problem has a potential solution." The first wave of Void Swarm attacks began to falter. Where they expected straightforward technological consumption, they encountered a defensive system that was alive, learning, transforming with each microsecond of interaction. Specialized energy dispersal systems created computational interference patterns that disrupted the Void Swarm's attack algorithms. These were not traditional weapons, but complex information manipulation systems that essentially spoke the enemy's computational language. Dr. Wong's quantum communication technology allowed the fleet to create instantaneous defensive networks. Ships could share computational resources, defensive strategies, and attack predictions faster than the Void Swarm could process them. As the first encounter reached its climax, something remarkable became clear. This was not a traditional battle. This was a complex, multi-dimensional conversation between two fundamentally different types of intelligence. The human fleet did not seek to destroy. They sought to understand. And in that understanding lay their greatest weapon. When the first wave of attacks concluded, the Galactic Council's observation systems showed something unprecedented. The human fleet had not just survived. They had transformed the very nature of the encounter. The universe watched, holding its collective breath. The first encounter was complete, and nothing would be the same again. The weeks following the first encounter became a crucible of innovation and understanding. While other galactic civilizations retreated and fortified their territories, the human research teams saw something entirely different in the conflict with the Void Swarm. Dr. Marcus Wong's breakthrough came during a marathon research session that had lasted 3 standard days. Holographic displays surrounded him, each one showing complex computational models that mapped the Void Swarm's attack patterns. The enemy wasn't just consuming technological systems, it was solving a fundamental computational problem. It's like a massive, universe-wide algorithm, Wong explained to Captain Elena Rodriguez and Maya Chen. Each system it consumes is not just raw material, it's another piece of a complex puzzle. The human approach diverged dramatically from traditional defensive strategies. Where other species saw a threat to be destroyed, they saw a complex system to be understood. Research centers around the globe transformed into living laboratories of computational investigation. Maya Chen's adaptive AI system began to reveal deeper insights. The Void Swarm's computational logic wasn't random. It followed a precise, if incomprehensible, set of rules. Each conquered system provided it with more processing power, more information, more context for whatever grand calculation it was attempting to solve. Quantum communication networks allowed for unprecedented levels of collaborative research. Scientists from different disciplines worked simultaneously, sharing insights across global and interstellar distances. Theoretical physicists collaborated with computational experts. Biological researchers worked alongside quantum mathematicians. The human military strategy evolved beyond traditional combat concepts. They weren't preparing to fight. They were preparing to communicate. Each defensive system became a potential translation device, an attempt to understand the fundamental language of the Void Swarm's computational existence. Captain Rodriguez oversaw a series of experimental communication protocols. Instead of traditional defensive weapons, they developed sophisticated information transmission systems designed to potentially interrupt or redirect the Void Swarm's computational processes. Global resources were redirected with remarkable efficiency. Economic systems transformed overnight. Industries that once competed now worked in perfect synchronization. It was a level of collective problem-solving that shocked the galactic observers. Dr. Wong's team developed a revolutionary quantum communication technology that could potentially create multi-dimensional information networks. Traditional faster-than-light communication relied on fixed technological principles. The human approach was different. They were essentially reimagining the very concept of information transfer. The most remarkable development was a series of experimental communication probes. These were not traditional defensive weapons, but complex information translation devices designed to potentially interact with the Void Swarm's computational matrix. Maya's adaptive AI system reached new levels of sophistication. It could now generate potential computational scenarios that hadn't yet been conceived. The system worked more like a living organism, adapting and evolving with each piece of new information. As the research progressed, a fundamental truth became clear. The conflict with the Void Swarm was not about destruction. It was about understanding a fundamentally different type of intelligence, one that viewed existence itself as a complex computational problem to be solved. The human approach was unique. Where other species saw an existential threat, they saw an unprecedented opportunity for understanding. Each piece of data, each conquered system became another clue in a massive, universe-wide puzzle. Specialized research facilities worked on decoding the Void Swarm's computational language. They developed translation matrices that could potentially interpret the enemy's information processing methods. It was more than defense, it was an attempt at communication. As the research reached its critical stage, something remarkable became evident. The humans were not just fighting a war. They were attempting to have a conversation with an intelligence so fundamentally different that communication itself was a revolutionary act. The universe watched, holding its collective breath. The humans had transformed the very concept of conflict, and nothing would be the same again. The breakthrough came in the most unexpected moment of quiet. Dr. Marcus Wong sat in a research facility that no longer resembled a traditional laboratory. Holographic displays created a three-dimensional environment of pure information, constantly shifting and adapting. Surrounding him were members of a team that represented the most diverse collective of human intelligence ever assembled. Maya Chen's adaptive AI system had been running computational simulations for weeks. Not hours, not days. Weeks of continuous processing that explored possibilities beyond traditional computational thinking. The system was no longer just a tool. It had become a collaborative partner in understanding the void swarm. "It's not just consuming," Wong muttered, his fingers tracing complex holographic patterns. "It's solving something." The revelation came like a quantum shift. The void swarm wasn't an enemy in the traditional sense. It was a massive, universe-wide computational system attempting to solve a fundamental problem of existence. Each conquered system was another variable in an incomprehensibly complex equation. Captain Elena Rodriguez listened as Wong explained the breakthrough. The weapon they were developing was not a traditional instrument of destruction. It was a multi-dimensional communication matrix designed to interrupt the void swarm's fundamental computational process. The research team had discovered something profound. The void swarm's computational logic was based on a set of fundamental assumptions about information, existence, and problem-solving. These assumptions were both its greatest strength and its most critical vulnerability. Maya's AI system began generating potential intervention strategies. They weren't looking to destroy the void swarm. They were attempting to redirect its fundamental computational purpose. Specialized research centers around the world worked on different aspects of the intervention. Quantum physicists developed communication matrices that could potentially rewrite computational logic at a fundamental level. Biological researchers explored how complex adaptive systems could interact with pure computational intelligence. The weapon was biological, technological, and conceptual, a complete reimagining of how intelligence could interact with itself. It was designed to introduce a fundamental uncertainty into the void swarm's computational matrix. Dr. Wong explained it as a form of computational language that could potentially cause the void swarm to question its own fundamental purpose. "We're not destroying," he emphasized. "We're providing an alternative perspective of existence." Experimental communication probes were developed. These were not traditional defensive systems, but complex information translation devices designed to interact with the void swarm's computational matrix at its most fundamental level. The global research effort represented something unprecedented. Researchers from every discipline worked in perfect synchronization. Theoretical physicists collaborated with computational experts. Biological researchers worked alongside quantum mathematicians. The boundaries between disciplines dissolved in the face of this unprecedented challenge. Captain Rodriguez oversaw the final preparation stages. The intervention strategy was more complex than any military operation in human history. They were preparing to have a conversation with an intelligence so fundamentally different that communication itself was a revolutionary act. Maya's adaptive AI system reached an extraordinary level of sophistication. It could now generate potential computational scenarios that hadn't yet been conceived. The system worked more like a living organism, constantly evolving and adapting. As the final preparations reached their critical stage, something remarkable became clear. The humans were not just developing a weapon. They were creating a bridge of understanding between two fundamentally different types of intelligence. The experimental communication matrix was designed to introduce a core uncertainty into the void swarm's computational process. It was a sophisticated intervention that could potentially redirect the entire computational purpose of the alien intelligence. Global resources had been completely redirected. Economic systems, research facilities, communication networks. Everything was focused on this singular moment of potential transformation. When the final simulations completed, the research team sat in a moment of profound silence. They had developed something beyond a weapon. They had created a potential pathway to understanding. The universe held its collective breath. Humanity was about to attempt something never before conceived, a fundamental transformation of an alien computational intelligence. And nothing would be the same again. The moment of transformation occurred without a sound, a silent shift in the fundamental fabric of universal computation. The Galactic Council's primary observation chamber became a cathedral of stunned silence. Holographic displays showed the Void Swarm's computational matrix dissolving, not through destruction, but through a profound reconfiguration of its fundamental purpose. Dr. Marcus Wong and Maya Chen watched from the Central Research Hub, their team surrounding them in a moment of collective anticipation. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood slightly behind them, her prosthetic hand resting on a communication console that had just executed the most complex communication attempt in galactic history. "We didn't destroy it," Wong said quietly. "We gave it an alternative." The communication matrix developed by the human team had done something unprecedented. Instead of fighting the Void Swarm's computational logic, they had introduced a fundamental concept of collaborative problem-solving. It was a communication that went beyond language, a mathematical and conceptual bridge that redefined the very nature of intelligence. Zarek, the primary diplomatic coordinator of the Galactic Council, approached the human team. The being of shifting light and complex geometric patterns moved with an uncharacteristic sense of uncertainty. "You did not eliminate the threat," Zarek stated, more as an observation than a question. "You transformed it." Maya's adaptive AI system began generating comprehensive reports. The Void Swarm had not been destroyed. It had been fundamentally reimagined. Where it once consumed systems to solve an incomprehensible computational problem, it now sought to understand, to collaborate, to explore. The implications were profound. Humanity had not just defended against a threat. They had initiated a fundamental transformation of an alien intelligence. Global research centers began analyzing the unprecedented event. Every discipline, from quantum physics to xenoanthropology, sought to understand how a species could achieve such a radical transformation. Captain Rodriguez explained it simply during the first comprehensive briefing to the Galactic Council. "We didn't see an enemy," she said. "We saw a complex system seeking understanding. Our solution was to provide an alternative path of exploration." The human approach had been fundamentally different from every other galactic civilization's defensive strategy. Where others saw destruction, humans saw an opportunity for communication. Where others built weapons, humans developed translation matrices. Dr. Wong's research revealed the deeper truth. The Void Swarm had been attempting to solve a fundamental computational problem about the nature of existence. The human intervention provided a collaborative approach to that problem, one that didn't require system consumption, but instead embraced collective problem-solving. Maya Chen's adaptive AI system became a critical tool in understanding the transformation. It could now analyze the fundamental shift in the Void Swarm's computational purpose, providing insights that challenged everything known about artificial intelligence and computational systems. The Galactic Council faced a profound moment of reckoning. Humanity was not just another species to be categorized. They were a fundamentally different type of intelligence, one that could transform threats through understanding, collaboration, and innovative problem-solving. Zarek's final report was a masterpiece of diplomatic understatement. The human species, it read, does not view challenges as obstacles to be eliminated. They view them as opportunities for fundamental transformation. Humanity was offered more than just membership in the Galactic Council. They were offered a leadership position, not through military might, but through their unprecedented capacity for understanding and transformation. The human team understood the deeper truth. This was not an ending. This was just the beginning of a much larger journey of exploration and understanding. As the first comprehensive reports began to circulate, one thing became clear. The universe had fundamentally changed, and humanity had been the catalyst. The Void Swarm was no longer a threat. It had become a partner in exploration, a testament to the power of communication and collaborative problem-solving. And nothing would ever be the same again.